Hey Yankees fans, welcome to Yankees Rumors and News, your go-to spot for the latest buzz and updates about our team. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss a scoop. When Trent Grisham decided to accept the qualifying offer, the reaction around New York was immediate and emotional. The kind of response that only the Yankees can provoke in this era. Fans spiraled into debate. Radio shows lit up. And even voices usually critical of the fan base found themselves questioning the move. The idea of committing significant money to a player like Grisham felt, at first glance, like another example of an organization operating with visible restraints. Something that clashes with the mythology of a franchise built on excess, ambition, and relentless pursuit of the very best talent available in the moment. It was easy to understand the frustration, because the acceptance of that offer seemed to symbolize a door closing rather than opening. Especially with bigger names floating around the market and dreams of blockbuster additions dancing in the heads of the fan base. The reality, however, is that these Yankees are not the Yankees of old. This version of the team operates with self-imposed limits, carefully measuring every dollar and weighing opportunity cost in a way that would have been unthinkable decades ago. Grisham's deal looked like it might interfere with pursuits of players like Kyle Tucker or Bo Bichette. Names that instantly spark visions of middle-of-the-order dominance and highlight real moments in the Bronx at the time. The fear was that tying up money in Grisham could block a more transformative move. And in a city that expects stars, anything that feels like settling is met with resistance. As the market unfolded, though, it became clear that those fears were somewhat misplaced. Tucker and Bichette both came off the board. And it emerged that the Yankees were never truly aggressive in those conversations, particularly given the massive financial commitments required to land them. That realization does not necessarily make the situation easier to swallow for fans, but it reframes Grisham's deal in a more pragmatic light. This is simply the unfortunate nature of the current Yankees, a team that prefers calculated value plays over all-out bidding wars, even when their financial strength could theoretically allow them to do otherwise. Whether the Yankees should have flexed that financial muscle more aggressively is a debate that will rage on, but when isolating Grisham's value, the picture becomes more nuanced. On paper, at least, the deal makes sense. Grisham brings a specific skill set, and in a market where left-handed power and defensive reliability are at a premium, his profile carries weight. The question is not whether he is as good as Tucker or Bichette, because by almost any offensive metric he is not, but whether his production relative to his cost makes him a smart acquisition. In this specific context, that argument grows stronger when considering the rest of the market, particularly players represented by Scott Boras. Like Cody Bellinger, Bellinger is expected to command more than the $20 million Grisham is projected to earn in the upcoming season, and he will almost certainly secure multiple years. Grisham, by contrast, is locked into a single year, which gives the Yankees flexibility if things go south. If his performance collapses, the team can pivot without being anchored by long-term money. That safety valve matters in an organization increasingly obsessed with minimizing risk. Even if that mindset frustrates a fan base craving boldness, no one will argue that Grisham has a better bat than Tucker or Bichette, barring some dramatic and unlikely downturn for either star. Still, if Grisham can replicate or come close to his previous season, the qualifying offer becomes far easier to justify. Last year, his offensive production measured by weighted runs created plus was impressively high, not drastically behind Bichette's own mark. When you consider the salaries involved and the length of the respective contracts, the comparison becomes less about raw talent and more about efficiency. Tucker's deal, with its enormous average annual value stretching through the end of the decade and built-in opt-outs, reflects his status as one of the premier hitters in the game. Bichette's agreement, though shorter, still carries an eye-popping annual figure and an early escape hatch. Grisham sits well below those numbers, yet if he can deliver power, solid on-base skills, and dependable defense, the gap in value narrows. A season with more than 20 home runs, an above-average offensive impact, and wins above replacement in the low single digits would make his contract look like a bargain. In this inflated market, Grisham may be the third best bat among the trio, but baseball is not always about ranking players in isolation. It is about what they provide relative to cost and expectation. If Bichette opts out early and returns to free agency, and if Grisham continues to produce at a similar level, the two could find themselves available at the same time. With Grisham having earned a fraction of the total money, that scenario underscores why the Yankees, cautious as they are, see value in this approach. Tucker's case is even more striking. Despite dealing with injuries, he was still dramatically better than league average at the plate, a testament to his elite talent. In a lineup optimized to maximize offensive output, it is easy to imagine his numbers climbing even higher, yet if Grisham holds steady and Tucker merely maintains his level, the cost difference becomes glaring. That is where the concept of a steal enters the conversation. Not because Grisham is secretly a superstar, but because his production per dollar could outperform expectations. All of this, however, circles back to the broader and more uncomfortable truth about the Yankees today. The ideal outcome would have been adding Grisham while also landing a true star like Bickett or Tucker. A franchise with these resources should, in theory, be capable of doing both. The fact that they did not speaks volumes about the philosophy guiding the organization. From the perspective of ownership, Grisham represents sensible value, a way to remain competitive without triggering massive financial obligations. Viewed through that lens, the move is defensible. It allows the team to field a capable roster while keeping future commitments in check. Even as enormous expenses loom, for fans, though, it reinforces the sense that something has been lost. That the Yankees are no longer the inevitable destination for the game's brightest stars. The hope remains that one day the pendulum will swing back. That an owner willing to chase greatness without hesitation will once again sit at the top. Until then, players like Trent Grisham will be judged not just on their performance, but on what they represent in an era defined by restraint rather than excess. If you're enjoying the updates, drop a like and let us know in the comments your thoughts on this rumor. The Bronx woke up buzzing with that electric feeling that only a whispered blockbuster can create. The kind of rumor that slides through clubhouses and late-night radio calls and suddenly feels too loud to ignore. The word floating around is that the Yankees, always alert to seismic opportunities, have received what people close to the situation are calling a green light from Juan Soto himself. An informal but powerful nod that says he would welcome pinstripes and the pressure that comes with them. Nothing official, nothing signed. Just that subtle approval that executives crave before pulling the lever on a move that could shake an entire city. In this version of the story, the front office feels emboldened, convinced that the superstar outfielder sees the Bronx not as a burden, but as a stage. And that belief alone has turned quiet conversations into something far more daring. As the speculation grows, the most explosive detail is not even Soto's supposed openness, but the unexpected partner emerging from the shadows of these talks. Across town, the Mets are suddenly woven into the narrative, and that is where the rumor truly detonates. For years, the rivalry has been fueled by geography and pride more than actual trades of consequence. Yet insiders are hinting that the walls are thinner than fans like to believe. The chatter suggests a complex exchange, one that would send shockwaves through both fan bases, with the Mets willing to listen in order to rebalance their roster, and the Yankees sensing an opportunity to strike while perceptions are fluid. Nobody is saying it out loud on the record, but the idea alone has been enough to set social media ablaze. What makes this rumor feel different is the tone coming from those who claim to have knowledge of the talks. This is not being framed as a desperate gamble or a last resort. Instead, it is whispered as a calculated strike, a move aligned with a longer vision that blends star power with sustainability. The Yankees, according to the speculation, believe Soto could be the centerpiece that redefines their offensive identity for years to come, not just a short-term spark. The Mets, on the other side, are rumored to be seeking flexibility, depth, and the kind of controllable talent that can stabilize a roster that has lived too much on extreme. In that sense, the deal is being sold internally as a rare alignment of needs. Even if publicly it would look like a stunner, fans in the Bronx are already imagining the aesthetics. The left-handed swing tailored to the stadium, the swagger under the bright lights, and the sense that another generational bat has chosen the Yankees as his canvas. Mets fans, meanwhile, are torn between disbelief and guarded curiosity, wondering what kind of return could possibly justify sending assets into the arms of their neighbors. That emotional push and pull is exactly why the rumor feels so potent, because it taps into identity as much as strategy. Executives may speak in calm tones about value and projections, but the heartbeat of this story is tribal, and everyone knows it. The name Juan Soto carries a gravity that alters conversations the moment it enters the room. Even as a rumor, It forces teams to reassess timelines and fans to recalibrate expectations, the speculation claims. That Soto's camp has been clear about wanting stability, competitiveness, and an environment that embraces stars rather than shrinking from them. In this telling, the Yankees checked those boxes loudly, and the approval, however informal, became a catalyst. It is said that once that signal was received, phones started ringing with a new urgency, and scenarios that once felt theoretical began to look actionable, of course. No rumor of this magnitude survives without skepticism, and there are plenty of voices urging caution. Some suggest this could be leverage, a way to pressure other suitors, or extract more favorable terms elsewhere. Others argue that the logistical and emotional barriers of a Yankees-Mets swap are simply too high, that pride in politics would eventually stall progress. Yet even those skeptics admit that the noise feels different, that there is an unusual consistency to the whispers, a sense that multiple threads are converging rather than contradicting each other. What fuels the intrigue further is the silence from the principals. No fiery denials, no sarcastic dismissals, just carefully neutral language and an absence of clarity. That leaves room for imagination to run wild. In the rumor mill, silence is rarely accidental, and fans have learned to read between the lines. The absence of a shutdown has been interpreted as tacit permission for the story to breathe, to grow legs and run through the boroughs, from the Bronx to Queens and back again. In the end, whether this speculative earthquake materializes or fades into legend, it has already accomplished something remarkable. It has reminded everyone how quickly the landscape can tilt, how a single superstar and a single whispered approval can redraw mental maps. The idea of Soto in Yankee pinstripes, facilitated by a stunning understanding with the Mets, has lodged itself into the collective consciousness, daring people to imagine the unimaginable. Until clarity arrives, the rumor will continue to swirl, growing with every retelling, a testament to the enduring power of baseball theater in a city that thrives on it. Thanks for tuning in. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you stay up to date with every Yankees rumor and news. See you in the next video.